Hello, welcome to the SecurityBridge webinar for the APAC region. Today, we're going to talk about RISE with SAP and how you can integrate security along your migration to the cloud. My name is Holger Hüdel. I'm heading the product management at SecurityBridge, and I'm glad that I have Joris van der Vis with me. Joris, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Joris is heading our research lab, so you recently might notice there were a couple of new vulnerabilities also published by SAP, and a very critical one earlier, I think last month. It's already a month ago. And Joris is one of the guys who looks at those things and makes sure that you have them in the software and can promptly patch those things. Now, today, we want to talk about RISE with SAP, a topic that is now around for quite a while, and a lot of companies around the world are interested to understand what are the benefits there, and specifically how the security is covered there. And we want to talk about two things today. One is, what is this shared security responsibility that comes with RISE with SAP? What does it mean for customers? And how can security solutions and platforms like SecurityBridge support customers to take this responsibility? And in the second part, we want to talk about how to get the security in RISE with SAP done. So how to add security while you are migrating using the SAP migration framework, which is there for customers to support them for a very smooth transition from on-premise to the cloud. So let's get started and look at the shared responsibility. And you might notice this is a chart from SAP actually. So it explains how the security is separated between the things that SAP is covering, mainly everything from the infrastructure level up to the operating system level, certain things on the application side, but very, very few. Most things on the application level and the business process level are with the customer. And if you then go into the details, you might see that there is quite a lot that a customer needs to cover still, although running the systems on RISE in the cloud. For example, the user identity management, the entire authentication, authorization, the roles, the user groups, and so on. But also the customer remains accountable for the entire compliance and the entire government part. So the customer is still in charge when it comes to industry regulations and to comply with those things. If you think about what does it mean actually in the real world, is you still need to do checks, still need to do more or less the things that you did on-prem on this level. The same thing also applies to the security audit logging, right? You should do already today on-prem monitoring. Still with RISE, you will have the security audit log in your tenant under your responsibility. So it's still a lot of work there and a lot of things that you need to cover there. Your custom applications for sure remain there as well. That's clear. SAP will not cover those. And when it comes to change management, which includes all the transports, the patching and so on, this is something that is a collaboration with SAP. So certain things SAP might take, but many of the changes and patches, you are still in the position at least to support SAP there. In many cases, you need to cover them as well. So looking at how SecurityBridge can help you there, we want to point you to these 5 main things. So the one is the the user access and authorization misuse. To detect those things is very important these days. The recent vulnerability has shown, which has been actually exploited, that it's very critical to have an eye on these things, because regardless of the vulnerability, you need to be able to see whether authorized access is about to happen, and to take appropriate actions to that. As I mentioned regarding compliance, to be able to do that and to enforce that, overview of everything that is configured in the system. So you need to understand what is the system hardening level, and to be able also to have the configuration that is needed to comply with all those regulations. Still something you need to do, and SecurityBridge will help you to have this on the click of a button. Security audit log cannot be monitored manually because it's simply too much. So even in RISE, it's still something customers should do and need to automate. And here is where SecurityBridge helps to fully automate these things, regardless which log we are looking at, whether we also look at the HANA logs, but also the BTP side, because there the custom application will be more in the future. And all these audit logs are covered there and fully automated. Yeah. We also automate the code security. So for your custom application, you can still check for code vulnerabilities with SecurityBridge, and automate security within your change management process. And last but not least, patch management can be very cumbersome. You always can talk a lot about these things, and to efficiently collaborate with SAP there is very important, because this saves time, and this is where SecurityBridge can help you with. Now, as I mentioned, SAP provides a standardized migration framework to help you with a smooth transition to RISE with SAP. And this is again a chart from SAP showing that migration framework with the 6 phases, and with certain quality gates that are there in place. Now, what we provided is a corresponding framework for the security. So as you move to the cloud, you can step by step create a very mature security posture for your RISE with SAP environment. And along with these steps, you could also align certain security gates with the quality gates that are in the SAP migration framework. Right? Now, what are those 6 steps? So it starts with analyzing your current situation and define a target state for your SAP security posture. You will be then supported to plan your readiness for RISE. It makes sense to have all those configurations already in place before you go to RISE. And then you can identify further gaps that are there in your current situation in terms of what is missing to be able to take those security responsibilities that come with RISE. And in the realization phase, you are just executing the roadmap that comes out of the SecurityBridge platform. It's there ready for you. You just need to go step by step and configure what's on that roadmap. The deployment would consequentially be very simple. You just deploy this across your applications and get the security into production. And in the last phase, you want to make sure that you stay secure, because you reached a very good security level within your RISE environment. And there are certain things that you need to do to stay there and continuously improve that. Right. Now, this is just the overview. Now we want to get into the details and in parallel also show you those things in the product. Let's look at the first step, discover. Here is the first thing that you do when you engage with SecurityBridge is you will get access to the SAP security knowledge base. It's very important. If you don't have security knowledge within your organization, with us, you get access to the entire knowledge available out there. It's the same thing that we use, and we share that knowledge with you. You can install the platform. You have all the technology in place. Everything, all the modules are active. You can do this within one day. And then you start your first scan and check your systems and make sure that they are ready for RISE. Now, in the presentation, you have those screenshots. Now, in this webinar, we want to walk you through in the live platform. And for that, Joris, I would hand over to you and see how it looks in the product.
Thanks, Holger. Thanks a lot. And hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning to some of you. I see some people logged on from the EU zone, which is of course fine. But this webinar is specifically aimed at our at the Asian Pacific region, and maybe good to mention before we dive into the live demo that we have a team available in the Asia Pacific region, managed by Onno Koene, who can help you in case there are any specific questions. So know that there is a regional team that can help you with any questions. Clarissa, Diego, Brian are all there to help you. I'm happy to show you today a bit more about the specifics that we have for RISE in the SecurityBridge platform. My fingers are itching to show you the complete platform, but unfortunately time does not allow today. So we'll focus on some specifics. What you see currently is the launchpad with all the functionality ranging from code scanning to live real-time monitoring to vulnerability management and scanning your SAP system so you can harden them. There is a lot of functionality. But let's focus today on some of the RISE specifics because that's what we are here for. And as mentioned by Holger, you can indeed scan your SAP systems. Typically, we ship the product with a lot of default content. And one of the pieces of content is a specific RISE template that you can use to see if your SAP systems are ready to be migrated to RISE. SAP has created an SAP security note that highlights the minimum requirements for specific security parameters, for example, that you need to be on to be able to have your SAP systems migrated to RISE. And what we did, we built in those minimum requirements into a baseline that you can scan your systems against to see if you are compliant to the RISE settings. And that's what you currently see. We offer, as mentioned, vulnerability management functionality that you can use to scan your SAP landscape. And in this case, see if your systems are ready or not. There is a lot of output. There are quite some settings that you need to comply with. But we can have a look at specific finding. Maybe you can show Holger the password hash algorithm. This is just one of the many checks that we can do. There's literally hundreds of checks that we can perform to see if your parameters are on secure values or if there are other misconfigurations. This is one example in the area of password hashes, where you typically need to be on a current password hash to make sure that it's secured in that it's saved and stored in a secure way. And what you see, and this is just an example, but this is typical for all the findings. We will show you the risk as highlighted above. There is also always a link to the knowledge base. As mentioned by Holger, all our customers have access to the knowledge base where they can get additional background information and see a bit more about the findings. What is the risk? What is a solution? Thanks for showing, Holger. And this is again just an example of one check and one piece of output, but this you will have for basically all findings. If we go back to the results, then in this case you see that there are some findings that are not compliant. There's a lot around it to manage this risk. You can accept the risk. You can even integrate all the different modules with incident management systems, so you can automatically have tickets created, or you can even have this information forwarded to a SIEM solution if you use that. If you have a security operations center, for example, there's a lot of integration options. But this is for now just what we wanted to show you. Specifically for RISE, we have all the minimum RISE requirements in this template, and you get it as part of the default content of SecurityBridge. Anything you want to add here, Holger?
Yes, just looking at a few questions while we anyhow talk about the checks. As you mentioned, it's a subset of all the checks that we have. I just want to show, going back to the overview, right? Once we select the RISE baseline, the systems are reduced based on those that are following or that are configured to run under this baseline. We support multiple baselines in parallel. Yeah, and the RISE baseline is a subset of all checks. It's actually also a subset of the overall SAP baseline. I think it's worth mentioning that for those that today know the SAP baseline, this one, the SAP baseline contains even more configurations, but for RISE, it is considered as a readiness baseline. So what do you need to be ready for RISE? That doesn't mean it's everything in there, right? If you look at our standard baseline that we are shipping, we always look at all kind of checks that are relevant to improve the security. And you see here the amount is beyond 450 checks that are there. This is the complete coverage. For the first step now, and coming back to to our presentation, we look at the readiness of your systems, because you want to make sure that you don't get in trouble once you are there on RISE. Later on, to change those parameters can be very cumbersome because you need to run through a service workflow with SAP. And this takes time. It's much better to be ready and prepared for all those things upfront, right? And this is why the discover phase is so important. Now, the preparation phase is now helping you to make sure that you know what needs to be done to get ready and what else needs to be covered and what's in this phase. Now, we will look in a second to how we generate that roadmap. You saw those checks that we already indicate and show based on the RISE baseline. We generate then a roadmap and align that roadmap also with other regulatory frameworks if you want, if you need those things, and help you to get the various tasks prioritized based on risk and resolution. So let's have a look in the product how this looks like.
Yeah.
We start with parameters, Joris.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me enlarge the screen a bit so I can see it.
Good. So where we are, the system. Was it the AED? Correct.
Yeah, so this is what Holger is showing is basically another view on the data. So there is a lot of security related and relevant data available in the SecurityBridge platform. What we showed you before, just some minutes ago, was from the roadmap, what was a really detailed view, and that was sorted, for example, by area of responsibility. What you see is currently another view that can help you better prioritize what you need to work on first. And this is important because as an organization, you are always limited in the amount of people that you have, the amount of budget you have. So it's important to try and get the most out of the platform. Basically, the biggest bang for the buck. And this roadmap can help you there because it's sorted by default on risk and resolution complexity. So basically, how hard is it to fix something? And this might help you get rid of high or very high risk findings first. That's what you want to focus on, especially the ones that you can fix maybe quite easily in a short amount of time. Sometimes it needs a bit more time. I know SAP systems are complicated and we have to deal with change management processes that can absorb also quite a bit of time. But still, it's good to know what findings can be picked up first, have the highest risk, and are easy to fix, for example. That's why we have this roadmap. It can help you there. And again, all there to help you make sure your SAP systems are ready to be migrated to RISE as soon as possible. Again, you can drill down here on the details. If you click on a line, you can see details, just like in the example we had before. Apart from showing you what's wrong in the system, we can also help you mitigate findings. There's ways to, for example, change parameters from the application. Of course, there's built-in security around that and authorizations you need to have. But if that's in place, you can, from the application itself, already remediate findings like parameter settings and change them in the profiles. There's a lot more to it, but I think for now that's in respect of RISE.
Yeah, I was thinking about just to, because this will go quite quickly, to show also the other security configurations, right, that are also sorted as a prioritized roadmap. Yeah, very similar, same approach, and with all the details at your fingertips, right? So this is a living roadmap. It's important to understand. It's not just a report and then you have paper and you have Excels and so on. No, you can do all your work and organize your work within the platform. You don't need to leave that platform to do so. And I think also to show that when you want to change, either you're allowed and the process allows you to do this directly from here, or you create an incident that will then be assigned to someone that is in charge to do the change. And whether you connect this with your existing tool or you use our built-in incident management capabilities in the platform, it's up to you. Good. So let's go back to the presentation. So with this roadmap, you are actually prepared to move on. You know exactly what's the effort to get ready. And you have time for the exploration phase to see what else needs to be done to cover all the other responsibilities, right? Because the readiness check just makes sure your system is ready. Now, what about your monitoring? What about your security audit logging? Can you automate this? How are you able to automate this? Do you need to integrate, or do you want to integrate this, for example, with a overall cybersecurity approach? Typically, customers will integrate the SAP monitoring into a CM solution. With SecurityBridge, you get all the rules that you need for that out of the box. You just plug those things into the CM, and you are ready to go, regardless which CM you are using. We recently also announced a very strong collaboration with Microsoft and Microsoft Sentinel to support that integration there even further. And to look at all other things like automated code scans and patch management. So again, a full set of functionality available to you. So let's have a look at a few of them.
Yeah, thanks, Holger. And I think that here we start with the management dashboard.
Yeah.
So again, as mentioned, we have a lot of functionality with a lot of very detailed and extensive information, but sometimes you just want to have a more high-level overview. For that purpose, we have a management dashboard. You can use it from different roles, like if you're a CISO, or if you're a basis admin, or if you're responsible for authorizations. You can create your own customized dashboards. Within the dashboard, you have more high-level aggregated data that shows you a more high-level view of your SAP security posture. So what systems are performing well, which areas there are concerns or reasons to zoom in further. And this will all be there from the management dashboard. You can also use it for a service level reporting, for example. And in this case, what we'll do from the high level security, for example, security notes tile, where you can see on high level what the status is of your SAP security patches, you can really drill down and zoom in if you want, and click through the specific patch management module that will in turn tell you more about all the specific details of patch management. As Olga already mentioned, a couple of weeks ago, SAP released this hot news in the area of the Visual Composer. If you're running that and you're on a NetWeaver Java 750 with Visual Composer installed, make sure to patch it, because this is a really critical vulnerability that SAP shipped an out-of-band patch for, which is not that common. And this is just one of the notes that you can check, one of the patches that you can check if it's there in your SAP landscape or not. The patch management module will help you better prioritize and make visible what patches you are missing, even help you with implementing it. And for example, in this case, we can have a look at, for example, productive systems that have security nodes missing. Yeah, this is the node we refer to. That's a good one, Holger, for showing that. And in this case, in our demo landscape, we don't have any vulnerable Java systems, which is good. But you want to double check this.
Mm-hmm.
All the details are there. You can see really the details, what system type it's applicable for, if it needs to be implemented or not. And for ABAP systems, again, as mentioned, we can help you even automate the implementation. So you don't need to do it manually, which is a painstaking process. I've been a basis consultant for most of my life. It's boring work. It's repetitive. And if you can automate it, not all of it, but up to 70, 75%, that already saves a lot of work. That's it for the management dashboard. Maybe good to mention that we have a specific management dashboard for specific purposes and reasons. Again, I think these are shipped already, right, Holger? The specific Security Shield management dashboard, or?
Correct. Yeah, correct. So just in terms of patch management, right? Just to show an alternative view, when you look at the heat map of the pending security nodes that helps you to see that you might have missed some of them. And they are shown here, whether based on landscape, based on severity, or just based on the age. Or you look for each system and you look, okay, what are the ones, for example, missing here in this system and are relevant there, and what the current status of those things are. Yeah. Good. But yes, we also have specific management dashboards for that. For example, for general security operations for the team, what are the things that they want to be on top of? Yeah. Current states of the security posture, and yeah, also I think one of the things, looking at the interface traffic, we might want to look later on as well. Good. So let's move on. So there are various things, and we encourage customers who are interested to see more, learn more, either to contact also our team in the various regions, in this case also in APAC, to have a more detailed demo to explore all the functionality. This is the thing that you want to do during this exploration phase. Now, moving on to the realization phase, what does it mean? We've seen the readiness roadmap before. Now it's time to execute that and to follow, to go top down, as we've shown, go into the details, mitigate those things that need to be done there, and continuously hardening the system until it reached that level that you need to be ready for RISE. Activating the security shield means that you also activate the monitoring. We can have a look at that as well. And establish the visibility in the overall activities in your landscape. Right? You want not to go too much into details, but whenever something critical happens, this very high tile is an indicator. This should be 0. If it's not, you want to look at those things. And to start making sure that you establish certain security gateways as you move on with your change management, with your development process. And start also patching. And I think this view is very interesting, and we want to look more. That helps you to follow up on the things that need to be done to get on RISE. So let's go back there.
Yeah. And again, the heat map is again another way to look at all the available security specific data. Maybe good to mention, what we show now is just a subset of all the checks based on the RISE template. And this is to make sure there's no confusion. This is not the same as, for example, the SAP security baseline. We also have a baseline for that. But the SAP security baseline is a more generic one. The one for RISE really aims again at the readiness for migrating to RISE. And what we have done is we have distilled the checks and parameters and everything out of that node, put it in a template so you can scan your SAP landscape to see how ready you are. And this heat map that Holger is currently showing is also helping there. What we showed before is often more looking at one specific system. What you can do here is really compare your full landscape. And this is just an example of 2 systems. You can see in the 2 right columns the AED and the S4D, but of course you can do this for many systems at once. Also showing you, for example, how consistent your SAP landscape is set up. What you want is that if there is a finding, at least it's consistent throughout the landscape. because nothing is more insecure or hard to fix than an SAP landscape that is not set up in a consistent way. Because you typically want to follow change management processes. So it might happen that something is not correct or in order or not compliant. At least if it's consistent, you can change it throughout the landscape by moving a transport or changing a parameter all throughout the landscape. Again, just another way to look at the data.
And yeah, I'd like to highlight one thing that we discussed about the frameworks, regulation frameworks. They are also configured there. So for example, if you want to focus on certain items, for example, SOX related items, you can do this and reduce this list. So again, this is a living list. It helps you to focus on the things that you need, and you have this list reduced, or you say, okay, I understand. Let's just look at those where from this framework are very high in terms of exploitation risk, and the use case status says non-compliant, right? So you get your shortlist and you run with that. Yeah. So you see, it's very easy to focus on the things that matter. And you can go directly here into the details. Yeah. Again, you don't need to use Excel or down exports or so. It's in the product. You can navigate through the things that need to be done.
That's thanks for that. That's a good addition, Holger. And indeed, the use of Excel is really from the old era, because Excel is never up to date. The application, the platform is. And again, this is all standard, part of the standard platform. Maybe also good to mention. And I think we just did it, but we also have the specific management dashboards. I'm not sure if you can show, for example, Holger, the dashboard with the security shield.
Yeah, we come in a second to that, correct? So just looking also the time a little bit.
Sure.
The fifth phase, the deployment. So what is this phase about? As you did all the preparation, actually the deployment of all those things across your entire landscape will be a walk in the park, right? Because you are just transferring all those configurations and applying them to the entire platform, right? Not just on development, on the QA systems, up to the productive system. And you actually activate that dashboard and have even further transparency. Now that you are covering more systems, you might also want to have a look at the interfaces there. So let's also go there and let's pick up again the dashboard. We've been there actually before, and focus on the interfaces.
Yeah, and this is really a great example of one of the many functionalities that the SecurityBridge platform offers, because I think everybody knows there can be risk in parameters, or there can be risk in users, or there can be risk in ABAP code. What is quite often overlooked is the risk of the, let's say, communication between SAP systems. Typically, the SAP landscapes are set up in such a way that if there needs to be an RFC connection, for example, long ago during implementation of the SAP system, we put a user there, gave it SAP all, and I made it a system user, and we thought, yeah, this is safe. It's actually not. We have done many penetration tests, and quite often when we are able to penetrate one SAP system, it might not even be a production, but a sandbox or a development system, we can use those connections to move laterally throughout the SAP landscape. And by doing so end up in the productive system with all the productive data. What we show here is a means of how your SAP systems are talking to each other. And we show that in a graphical way, which is already very nice because standard SAP doesn't let you do this. We have seen customers do crazy stuff with Excel sheets, and that's really not working. This is a live view of your SAP systems and how they communicate with each other. On top of that, we have, for example, the production paths option, where we can really show you and highlight you how you can go from non-production to production systems, how you can jump, sometimes even over multiple hops, from a sandbox system to production. And by showing you the paths, you can quite easily break this chain and make sure that the users in those connections are limited when it comes to authorizations, or maybe delete these connections at all, because quite often you don't need them anyway. And this is just another way of showing you risk in your SAP landscape. And also in terms of RISE, this is important because what we see nowadays are very hybrid scenarios where customers have on-premise systems or systems running on a hyperscaler or systems running in RISE. And if you know all the paths, how the communication flows, it's much easier to protect your SAP systems and make sure that not needed communication paths are not there anymore, or at least limited in privileges.
Good. So let's come to the closing and just have a few other notes on the last phase run, which is actually a transition from the implementation phase up into the operations phase, where you further want to look at certain automations, but also focus on the reporting part, because you want to make sure that you are able to show improvements. And we already shown certain reporting capabilities or dashboarding capabilities. It's up to you whether you want to use the dashboard and also share this with your management, or provide PDF reports like this one here. You are very flexible there. In terms of time, also looking at the questions, let's wrap it up and come to the key takeaways of this webinar today. For us, it's very important that you understand the shared security responsibility that comes with RISE with SAP. It's something often misunderstood, and customers are surprised once they are there. You will have a certain journey to RISE, and we want you to support there, to have a very smooth transition and add security to that. And for that, we created the security platform that is designed also to help you with adding security while you are moving to the cloud. And this platform actually is also certified for RISE in terms of certified for the S/4HANA private cloud edition, which is the software under this service from SAP. With this, I would say, let's open the session for the Q&A part and see what kind of questions do we have. Joris, I saw you already answered a few of them. Do you want to check and see?
I think I answered pretty much most of them.
Yeah.
You can double check if there are some others.
Or if others want to add some more questions, please do so.
Yeah, so there was a question about our support for non-RISE projects. So again, this is good to reiterate that what we show today is specifically focused on RISE, but the full platform offers support for much more, no matter if you run your SAP systems on-premise or in Azure or on Rise, we got you covered for basically most, if not almost all system types, no matter if it's ABAP or Java or a web dispatcher or SAP routers or business objects. We even have support for the more cloud-based solutions like SuccessFactors, BTP. So yeah, there's much more than just specifically for RISE.
Yeah, I think the one question asks about the challenge to determine the scope. Now, maybe adding a little bit more context there, the scope in terms of landscape, the scope in terms of the topics that you want to cover.
I see the question from Timo. Our biggest challenge is at the moment that when we start a get clean, it's hard to determine the scope with the customer. Yeah, so
yeah,
of course, and this is a good question, Timo, because it's never that easy that you just install a tool and you're done. That's never the case. What we try to do is support you all throughout the whole, let's say, life cycle phase of going from a get clean and a stay clean scenario. It's hard often to get clean already because many customers have a lot of legacy, old security parameter settings, insecure users, profiles, ABAP code, etc., etc. And this is a big project. And we are here as a tool provider to help you with that. But the good thing is we rely on partners to help customers as well. And I think, Timo, you know a bit how the process goes because you really need to take the customer by the hand and really help them in tailor-made projects because they might have different risk appetites. You can help them, you can advise them there, depending on the risk appetite, what to do first. And the tool helps you there. But this is always a project that takes quite a bit of time. First to get clean and then to stay clean. And it's hard to determine the scope with the customer. Yeah, of course, but there is no generic answer I can give there because that really depends on the customer's risk appetite, etc.
Yeah.
But yes, these are long-taking projects quite often.
Yeah. But I would say at least the starting point is because, at the end, it's a service from SAP and they determine what they put on this, on their prerequisites, right? And we've described this. So what's in the RISE baseline is described also in our knowledge base. So you have here further reading. And we are referencing as well that here is just, I think, I'm not sure whether it's even the latest one, but the PDF that is that security note or that SAP note that you are referencing, right? So we are working based on this, yeah, and this should be at least your minimum, I would say. Yeah, everything else is nice, but and you can refer to this because this comes from SAP. It's not that we've invented it or other partners invented that.
Yeah, I will put the note in the chat as well, so you can look it up. And specific indeed there. So what I was mentioning too was more generic projects, but Holger refers to is the one for RISE specifically.
Yeah,
and that is a subset of all the checks again. But there is a good SAP note that helps you as well.
Good. Okay. Then I think we are almost at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. So let's wrap it up. Thank you very much for your attendance today and your time. And hope you had a good insight into what needs to be done to get secure also with RISE. And if you have further activities you want to engage with us, please feel free to reach out to our colleagues, also in the APAC region, but also across the globe. And happy to see you in production with SecurityBridge. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.